Hey guys, Gene Campbell here. So here's our recap for the last tournament that just took place. It was our first one of the year. It is the MLF Big Five Phoenix Bass Boats BFL Ozark Division. Was tournament one, should have been two, but it was one because our first event at Table Rock was postponed and changed, rescheduled. So this was our first event. Man, I just want to say right out the gates, Alan Gray, our tournament director, and his entire staff, phenomenal job. Got everybody out there. The work they put in behind the scenes, they probably don't hear near enough praise for that. So we just wanted to take a chance and thank them for all their hard work and effort to put on these fantastic events when we come into town. That is something that we really appreciate of those guys. This is a big event, man. Sold out. 230, 240 anglers, somewhere in that ballpark, with as many co-anglers going in there as well. So, I mean, you got 230, 240 boats launching. You got as many vehicles, with your co-anglers coming through there. And this time of year, the lake was down good between 6 and 8 feet. It was down quite a bit. So that wiped out one of the other ramps that you can launch at there. Normally, if you're familiar with Lake of the Ozarks, there are two ramps that you can launch from, PB2, and then there's one just north of it there. Well, that one up north was shut down, and the PB2 launch, there were only 3 boats at a time could really launch safely. So yeah, considering everything that we were up against, man, that was a heck of a job. They adapted, and put on a great deal for us, and kept it safe. So we get down there, dude. You know what? Great weather coming in. Our practice week, to give a short, condensed version. Our practice week going down there Wednesday, super windy. We took a long run, went up, took a look at some things. We were pleased with what we were seeing on the Garmins, as far as structure and fish and things of this nature. We just couldn't get any feedback out of them. That's all. We were trying some traditional type presentations. We were trying non-traditional, and we just couldn't get the feedback that we needed, man, to really stamp something home here and feel super good about it. So we kind of adjusted our game plan a little bit. And when I say wind on that first day, man, I mean it was like sustained 25, gust over 40. It was pretty serious down there. But at any rate, Thursday we come in. It's a rainy day, very soggy, very wet day. We get out, we stay, we go polar opposite. We didn't make the long run like we did the day before. We stayed a little bit closer to where, areas I'm a little bit more familiar with in section in the Grand Glaze. So I went around, buzzing around there, and I started seeing a few things. The puzzle started coming together for me. Started seeing a couple things. But again, still kind of struggled. Only got a couple shorts that day. I didn't see a whole lot. Friday, though, we were able to piece together the last bit of puzzle that we wanted to see. We got some feedback out of them. Friday morning started off really nice with no rain. It didn't rain till like late morning or so is when the rain started again. Went on into the evening, but we were able to find some stuff there, man, that really made us feel good. We did a lot of scanning. Normally, that's what I do the day before a tournament. I don't do a ton of fishing. What I do is just verify my navigation routes, start figuring out some timing between locations, and then the last bit is scanning, trying to play on a couple patterns, this and that. So by the end of the deal, by the start of the tournament on Saturday, I was coming in with a great boat draw. We were boat 7 out of 230 boats, so plus. And so yeah, man, felt pretty good about that. So what we were sitting on was between 15 and 20 primary locations, with about 10 to 12 backup locations that were kind of in a different area. Had it happened too many times where things, change up on you, and so I just wanted to be prepared for that when we got there. So we take off, 10, 15-minute run max. We get down to our location. Keep in mind, low lake levels. I was counting on the water getting a little bit stained, right? Was really counting on that. With the rain, that was going to kind of help me with the presentations that I was throwing, just because it would tighten them up to cover a little bit more. So it was going to be pretty good. And yeah, man, the best words I can use, what I found down at the bottom of the Grand Glaze when we went down there, the best words I can say to describe this would be natural disaster. Literally, like a tornado or hurricane had come through here. There was deadwood everywhere floating on top. There was brush, there were leaves, there were entire trees, multiple entire trees floating. You had to shut down and try to plow your way through some of this stuff, or you just tear your gear completely apart. So I had no idea the Grand Glaze would do that. This is my rookiness coming through. I had no idea that that was even a possibility. And stained water didn't come close to describing. This was chocolate milk, dude. This was mud. Completely changed everything. So needless to say, every bit of that work for a 2-mile stretch, if you will, of the lake that I had put in down there was blown out. And we realized it immediately. 15 to 20 locations that I felt pretty good about grabbing some fish off of for both of us, blown out. There was just nothing there. We decided we were down there to go ahead and fish it, for a little bit, just to say we did. Tried some really, unconventional things to see if we could get something to fire down there in some of the coves, this or that. And obviously nothing was working down there at that point. Everything was flipped up on its head. So I had to take a few minutes there, man, and get a positive mental focus back and try to draw everything together, because I've had this happen before where your game plan just gets blown out. It's very frustrating to have it happen after you put in the work. You feel like you've got the information. You're trying to work smarter, not harder, and trying to get these things done. So I've had this happen where it just changed up on us, and so it took not gonna lie, it took a minute here to kind of gather things back together. So we did. We started working our way back out of the Grand Glaze, fishing our ways up there. What I'd come across as a pattern was that we could literally duplicate across this section was certain range temperature of water, which it was warmer what we had found. Find a specific type of structure that I was looking for, composition of structure, and as long as there was bait nearby, those were the key things. That's all we really needed to put together. When I had those things together, we could get stuff to fire, and we could find some fish. Again, it wasn't going to be a winning bag, but man, it was going to be a workman's effort. We were going to, I felt good about getting our limit, getting it in there, having a good strong day in the points, maybe even cash a check. Top 70 positions were paying out, so we felt like, yeah, we should be able to cash in on that. Obviously that was not working for all that primary stuff, so we moved over to the secondary stuff, and thankfully the secondary stuff still was holding some fish. In retrospect, I think back, I could have fished it differently, could have fished it stronger, would have got even more, but nevertheless, my co-angler and I both got fish. We got them in the boat, found a couple schools of spots that we were able to key up on. Smaller guys, but you know what, we got them in the boat, we got our points. We'll move forward on that. It could have been a lot worse. There were a lot of guys that blanked that day because the fishing was kind of tough. The guys that knew where things were at and would go after those things, that it was working for them. But I'll tell you, it wasn't across the board for sure. There was some tough fishing that was taking place out there. So we'll take it, man. We'll take this. We've learned from it. We've gathered a lot of information moving forward, and yeah, we'll just try to add that in. Couple notable pieces there, like I said before, my Garmin's, man, I'm not pro staff for Garmin yet. We'll work on that later, but I got to tell you, man, blown out of the water. That mapping, where Contour says it changed and moved their built-in mapping, it did. That was some of the most accurate I've used. Pretty much, I've used every other brand of mapping save the CMAP stuff from Lowrance. I haven't used that personally, but I've used everything else, and I got to tell you, this is the most accurate. The built-in mapping on the Garmin units is the most accurate imagery that I've seen yet. And it was very, very comforting to know that. Running that GT56 transducer on these Echo Maps Ultra units that I have here, wicked good detail on these things, man. And the units themselves, easy to use, easy to set up, amazing features to customize it just how you want it, from the screen sizes to just the waypoints, you name it, man. A lot of cool features in there that I haven't even begun to scratch on that we'll be highlighting as time goes on. So yeah, stayed at the end of the Grand Glaze. If you're a tournament fisher person down in that area, that's a very boat friendly hotel. Not a 5-star resort, which most time we don't want those kind of places anyway, but extremely friendly staff, all the accommodations you're looking for there. And so yeah, highly recommend those guys as well. Our next event coming up here is at Table Rock. It's a 2-day, it's in April, I believe 17th and 18th. stick with us for that information coming up there. We have 2 events back to back on that reschedule. As always, guys, thank you so much for all your time and support. We really appreciate it and couldn't do this stuff without you. Take care. Tight lines. Be safe.